Ita from moving out of mine and my now ex-boyfriend's apartment without reminding him that our lease is up on the 31st. My ex-boyfriend 30M and I 29F had been together for almost 8 years, living together for 5. We were initially child-free by choice because we quite liked having a ton of disposable income and being able to go on spontaneous trips, and didn't want to ruin that. A little over a year ago, one of our best couple friends got pregnant, and I think he started to change his mind about the child-free lifestyle. We spoke about it, and he assured me that he hadn't changed his mind, but I had a bit of a gut feeling. The baby was born in July, and while we have both been involved in the necessary village-like activities of having close friends that are new parents, I sensed him sort of pulling away from me, texting less and less throughout the day, missing at least one of our bi-weekly date nights per week. Once more, I tried to have a conversation with him, and explained in pretty uncertain terms that I was not going to change my mind about being child-free, and advised him that if he was heading in that direction, he needed to tell me now, to avoid miscommunications and a messy breakup later. He said he had been thinking about talking to me about adoption later on down the line. We spoke about it briefly, but once my mind is made up, it's very hard to change. He had a few business trips lined up in October, so we decided to use that time to take a break, determine if we were still aligned, and come back, either having worked through it, or deciding to break up once and for all. We rent a pretty fancy, expensive apartment together, and I stayed in it while he traveled. I'm a very pragmatic person, so I kind of saw that as the beginning of the end because a disagreement about whether or not to have children is not something a couple can compromise about, in my opinion, and while I knew I could probably be able to afford this place on my own, I wouldn't be able to keep up the kind of lifestyle I've been living, so I began putting feelers out for a new apartment. I told him that I was doing this, as we still spoke at least once a week during this break, and we even joked about how we were smart to have this relationship mishap towards the end of the year when our lease is up. We broke up officially in late November, and I reminded him that the lease on our current apartment was due to expire in December, so he needed to decide if he was staying here. I thought that was unlikely, because even though he makes a bit more than I do, and it is his name on the lease, pretty much all the furniture and everything that made this our place was mine or finding somewhere new. He waffled a bit, said he wasn't sure, that he would make up his mind closer to the end of the year. We pretty much cut majority of contact since the breakup, except for coordinating to pick up a few odds and ends that he needed at wherever he's living temporarily at the moment. It is now the 29th of December, and here's where I think I might be I was able to find a gorgeous, decently sized, decently priced 2-bedroom apartment quite literally 2 weeks ago, and have made arrangements to have my furniture moved tomorrow. I've been on the fence all day today about calling him to remind him about the lease ending, because as much as he's essentially moved the majority of his clothes out, he still has a ton of electronics, memorabilia, comic books and action figures, and general odds and ends in his office, which I have not touched because nothing in there belongs to me. My best friend, who is currently drinking all my wine while we pack the last of my stuff, thinks I should call him to remind him, just as a courtesy. But I think I've given him more than enough reminders leading up to today, and we're both adults here. I shouldn't have to remind him to come collect his things out of our apartment. So, Reddit, am I the asshole for essentially moving out without telling him, and leaving what might be a bit of a mess with the landlord for him to deal with?